Welcome back to the Divine You Podcast with yours truly, Dr. A.G. Green Sr. I am incredibly thankful for you. Thank you for helping me spread the word. And thank you for joining me right now. I'm so thankful and grateful that you tuned in. Like I forgot to turn that light on. It's all good. You know what to do. Share and let people know that this new podcast is up, that it's hot, and it's going to bless them. Just to remind you, in case you forgot, this is the Divine You Podcast, your gateway to uncovering the infinite power within. We want you to prepare to evolve, transform, and ascend. Connect with me, family, on social media for more powerful content on this subject and more. You can follow me at AG Green Now on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. And of course, you should be watching me on the Divine You channel on YouTube as well. I am, again, honored and excited to be with you. And I always like to remind people as I stream weekly a service of sorts where I do extended teaching. I like to remind them that you are the offspring of a divine, powerful creator. Therefore, you are not powerless, you are powerful. And so my powerful, powerful spiritual species, I want you to say out loud and type it somewhere if there's a place to type. I am powerful. I am powerful. Yes, you are powerful by divine permission. You have been given power and authority to rule and reign over your own life. And we do it in cooperation and in concert with the Creator, the source and the sustainer of all. And I am so thankful and grateful that we have the ability to think, imagine, speak, create, co-create, and manifest our reality. I started an interesting discussion the last time you and I were together, and we discussed shift your reality, or about shifting your reality. And in case you missed that podcast, I want you to go back and pick it up. I kind of laid some, fundamental groundwork for what I'm going to talk about with you on this particular day, right? I'm going to pick up with actually number 3, which I've already covered, a point that I want to make. And again, remember, reality is shaped and shifted from consciousness. Consciousness is not only awareness, but consciousness also encompasses the psychological framework. We know there are states of consciousness, and in these states of consciousness, it's not just spiritual presence or spiritual levels, but it's intellectual, psychological, and emotional dimensions within these realms of consciousness. But within the context of how we are discussing it, the paradigm, the frame of mind, is a lens to the world. And it is not a lens to just view, it is a lens to transmit, it is a lens to create reality based on core beliefs. The belief one has of themselves, the belief one has of their creator, and the belief one has of other people whom we believe share this construct, this existential construct with us. Perception is the inner reality. To shift your mind, to shift your life, you're going to have to shift your perception. And I quoted from Daniel Kahneman, who is a Nobel laureate And he discusses or describes in his book how the mind uses shortcuts or heuristics to interpret information quickly, often at the cost of accuracy. And I love the quote from Robert Anson Wilson. We're all looking from the point of view of our own reality tunnel. When we begin to realize that we can then begin to open our minds to the possibilities we had previously rejected, end quote, from Prometheus Rising 1983. And we ended by saying reality is not a universal broadcast. It is a personalized transmission. That reality tunnel is fascinating. I know we all live in them. Constructs of intelligence, of emotion, of formed core beliefs, of perceptions, I'm mixing it up, and perspectives, prisms. I can go on and on and on in the words that I would use to describe the creation and curation of what we believe to be true and real. We are doing this every moment of the day. And while you're watching or listening to me, you're doing it right now. If you receive, as some say, up to 60,000 thoughts per day, if 90% are repetitive and around 80% are considered to be negative, that's a whole nother discussion. We are recycling core beliefs, AKA the construction of reality in every second, in every moment. It's the reason why people live in a tunnel. They live in a tunnel based on what they think. They live in a tunnel based on what they believe. They live in a tunnel based on how they have interpreted reality to be. As we continue to discuss shifting reality, one of my favorite mystics, one of the greatest mystics of all time, Neville Goddard, says, it is not what you want that you attract. You attract what you believe you are, end quote. Feeling is the Secret, 1944. This is the heart of the art. Feeling is the engine of creation. We should understand that when we emotionally inhabit a state like joy, love, gratitude, or even fear and despair, we magnetize experiences that correspond to that emotional signature. It is an emotional signature. Have you noticed? And that's not to say that when you're joyous, bad, challenging, what we consider to be bad, and remember that's by interpretation. But in my world, tragedy is not good. Tragedies, mishaps, and other things appear in our world. They can appear even when you're happy, but sometimes what happens is that people create a law of being, a law of thinking, and a law of being in that moment to create a personal philosophy in thinking maybe my joy is only meant to be short-lived, or sayings like, if it's not one thing, it's another, or sayings like, don't enjoy it for long because something else is about to happen that's going to make you sad. So enjoy this happiness because it's not going to last long. Things like that, we don't understand. When we recycle it and cause it to become a core belief, now we are participatory in bringing experiences and people in those experiences in our reality that confirm the theory that we created. I've also noticed that even when these challenging things happen, if we can just be consistent, even in mourning and grieving and in sadness, to continue to allow that moment to be painted with a silver lining and not allow the interpretation of the experience to take us over the edge or over the cliff into an abyss of despair. and discombobulation and other things that could potentially inflict and at the same time inform us to develop a belief system concerning how things happen in our world. We can get to a point where we can still allow it to be laced with a silver lining. It'll balance us and help us to understand that I still have a decision in the moment in my grieving and mourning to have a perspective that great things are designed for me, that better things are my portion. So we want to consider that we do magnetize things. We create, and the word magnetize is used here as if to attract. I believe it's creation, however you want to see it from your perspective. But these things will manifest in our world. They'll show up in our world like produces after its kind. And so that's on a basic, fundamental, biological level. I believe it's also on a mental and spiritual level. Modern neuroscience backs this up. Studies show that sustained emotional states literally rewire the brain, creating neural pathways that make certain perceptions and reactions more likely. Davidson and Begley, The Emotional Life of Your Brain, 2012. So changing your feeling changes your wiring, which changes your perception, which changes your experience. So people are having repetitive experiences, whether it's, again, it's based on their interpretation, which could be interpreted as sorrow, be interpreted as betrayal, be interpreted as something they perceive to be depressing, something they perceive that makes them an outcast, something they perceive that puts them on or always puts them on the negative side of a situation. Then your neural pathways in your brain have been formed to adapt. And that's the norm for you. And we may discuss, because this, what I'm talking to you from is actually from an 8-blog series that I'm getting ready to release on a blog that I'm about to create. And I'm just taking snippets from it. But I want us to understand that the body also participates in what the mind is thinking. So it's like, I think it's Dr. Joe Dispenza who talks about the body becoming the mind, or the body becoming like the brain. It can be trained to be miserable. It can be trained to operate with low energy. It could be trained in its response to what we consider to be life-threatening, depressing, anxious, degrading, whatever it is, or however it is we interpret it, that is not productive for us. The body participates, and it will release through its mechanisms, whether you call it, not just the electrical impulses from the brain, but hormones and stress, hormones and all these other things, or decrease, meaning that it takes us to a state where we feel like we're bottomed out when we should not, from a thinking perspective, feel like we're bottomed out. Or a good example is when you try and change the way you think, the body has a difficult time adjusting to it because, again, from the neural pathways to the retraining through the nervous system, all the way down to the cellular level. And I want to say this in this presentation. I heard this from a neuroscientist, a popular neuroscientist, who said we need to be careful what we say because every cell in our body is listening to us. I believe that. Those cells are you. This is, again, something we should understand about our own bodies. We talk about our organs like they're separate from us. Sometimes people say my liver, my kidneys, or whatever. But there are a lot of times when people are saying, the liver is not working right, the kidneys are not working right, or my kidneys are not working right. Still, there sometimes is a disconnect. Just because it's inside of you, which remember, excuse me, let me paraphrase it. Just because it's inside of you doesn't mean you don't have control over it. It is still you. if I could say it like this, if your name was on every cell in your body, because every cell in your body is you. So let's just say your name is on every cell. Then your name is on the cells in your liver. Your name is on the cells in your lungs. Your name is on the cells in your heart. I can go on and on. That's you. It's you. So you are the body. You're not just a spirit who possesses a soul, but you're also this body, and you're having an experience. And guess what? The cells in your body are reacting and adjusting to your mood, your state of mind, your beliefs, that you are feeding it and communicating to these trillions and trillions of cells. And of course, ultimately it manifests in our organs, because we can also talk to the organs that are made up of these trillions and trillions of cells. So the body starts participating. So you and I have the ability to rewire the brain by changing what we think and what we feel, by training ourselves to, with positive thoughts connected to a positive emotion, to be intentional about changing the lens so that we will see opportunity in all things and find a way for praise and gratitude in every situation. Emotion is the brushstroke of the artist. That is you. Emotion creates. Emotion participates in creation. And I'll probably hang my hat on this one today. I'm about out of time. Let me see if I'm going to get into it today. I will save that for another time in terms of discussing the holographic universe. Let me just work on the last point for a few more minutes. When Neville Goddard talks about the secret, he's not even just merely talking about feeling and emotion. He's talking about embodying the state where there is a knowing, and watch this, with that knowing, it's not trying to be something. It is that you are it, meaning that in that state, there's a feeling attached to every state. If you are abundant, then there's a feeling that's attached to abundance, or abundance will surface as a feeling. It will surface as a state, a part of the state of mind, a state of consciousness. Now, when I say abundance, I don't just mean money. Abundance could be that you're so self-actualized, that you have an abundance of peace. You're so filled with love that you have an abundance of love. Hear me. And when abundance exists in a multifaceted way, including in financial things, the feeling of the being is different. The feeling of who we are as spirits who possess soul, live in this body, the feeling we have in this body, and the sense of feeling we have in the moment is different. It's not scarcity. It's not striving. It's not excessively grinding. It's not trying to be. It's not choking on what it's not. It is what it is. It is what it is. It is what it is. I am that I am. By the grace of God, Paul said, I am that I am. I am that I am in that state. So I am abundance. And there's a feeling attached to that. There's a state of consciousness that at some point in time will stimulate neurologically a feeling, but also a sense of occupying that dimension, occupying that moment, occupying that person, occupying who and what you are in the moment. There's a feeling associated with that. So we can say there's a confidence. Yes, we can say that. We can say there's less worry. We can say there's a mastery. There's a comfort, meaning The discomfort doesn't exist because you believe you don't have. The comfort exists in that not only do you know you have, but you also, again, have a mastery of these things. I want you to understand that one of the ways you and I can change the things that show up in our world is seeing the connection between when we're feeling sad and down and the things that we see enter our world from that state versus when we're happy, when we feel like we can conquer the world. And this is not to say that you're sabotaging something that you have believed for because you get sad or depressed. I don't teach that. I believe that we are powerful enough that once we set something in motion, we have to do something strong enough to counteract it. Have you ever gave up on something and it still happened? Have you ever thought maybe it wasn't going to happen and it still happened? That's the example of what I'm talking about. You persisted long enough in this state of faith and walking by faith and not by sight, and the embodiment or the possession of that land, the possession of that thing, the ownership of whatever it is you desired. And just because you had a few weak moments, it did not discreate it. It was already created because you had already sat in it, persisted in it long enough where it moved from the invisible to the visible. The word in you became flesh in the three-dimensional world, in the three-dimensional construct. So, but negativity, pessimism, doom and gloom and sadness has an impact on the physiology of the body, the immune system, so forth and so on. But again, the energy levels that you're emitting and transmitting, and that's, again, something we have to be considerate of. The reason why you can feel the person's attitude is because, number one, you're connected to everybody and everything, which also means in that connectivity, they are transmitting something that's leaving their brain and making its way into your presence, making its way through that invisible connection to you. You can feel someone's energy. You can feel someone's faith. You can also feel someone's doubt. You can feel someone's cynicism. You can feel someone's hope, and you can feel someone's hopelessness. And from these states, if we persist in them long enough, then we will produce nightmares. We will continue to produce more lack. We will continue to produce more pain. We will continue to produce more tragedy. We will continue to produce more situations that don't collaborate on our behalf to bless and empower us. We'll be thinking and desiring it, but don't understand that we need to persist in seeing ourselves differently and seeing our connection to God differently and seeing our connection to the universe and knowing that we're worth it, knowing that we have this permission by the Creator to be who and what we are in this world, to do these things, to produce these things and have life and that more abundantly. There is a joy, a peace, and an energy that you and I are transmitting and emitting when we live in that constant state of knowing that I'm worth it, regardless of my imperfections, and knowing that I'm worthy, and knowing that the things that I desire, I partner with God to bring these great, wonderful things into my orbit and ultimately into my world. And ultimately, they manifest within me, and then I see them externally. You have the choice. You have the power to do that. But start recognizing how you feel and learn how to talk to yourself, have conversations with yourself to ask, why am I feeling lonely in this moment? Why am I feeling melancholy? What happened? Sometimes there's nothing discernible that did happen. Your body has just been trained to operate in that state. Then there may be times you're sensing something in your higher self, your spiritual self, that has not yet been revealed to you cognitively yet. But nevertheless, you still have the ability to interpret it, to realign yourself with God, to realign yourself with the inner power that you possess, to realign yourself with spirit, the spirit of God, which is a part of you, to realign yourself with the spiritual dimension, the unlimited, and just establish a thought and establish an image and then establish a feeling that no matter what it is, everything is all right. Wow. and everything is good, and everything is working in my favor. My goodness, I felt that when I said it. You are a powerful creator, a powerful creator. And owning that power, knowing how to operate in that power, knowing how to recognize the connection between thinking, imagining, speaking, and doing, which is reality creation, understanding consciousness, understanding how to shift in consciousness, understanding how to travel to different states of consciousness, recognizing that you have a direct hand in it all, shall and will radically cause things to be as you believe them to be. It is literally according to your faith. So be it unto you. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I believe this is episode 6 of the Divine You podcast, Shifting or Shift Your Reality, Part 2. And my prayer and my manifestation for you is that the shift has already begun. Divine You podcast with yours truly, A.G. Green Sr.